All right, welcome. Today we are diving into something, well, it's pretty wild. Emotional AI. We're going to break down how we can teach a machine not just to see an emotion, but to actually measure it, to quantify it. Yeah, turning our deepest feelings into straight up lines of code. I mean, really think about that for a sec. That incredible feeling of joy or that pit in your stomach from fear. We think of those as uniquely human, right? But what if they aren't just these abstract experiences? What if, at their very core, they're just functional data points? That's the wild idea we're digging into, taking emotion apart and building it back up as a system a machine can actually use. Okay, so to even get our heads around how an AI could have emotions, we first have to kind of rewire how we think about our own. So for a minute, let's forget all the poetry and philosophy. We're going to look at feelings from a way more practical and honestly a much more primal angle. Survival, pure and simple. This quote right here, it basically flips the whole script. It says, emotions aren't here for us to write sonnets about. They're designed to help us survive. That's it. Think about it. They're like our original biological shortcut, a super fast processing system built for one thing, making quick, life or death decisions. You see a tiger, you feel fear, you run. It's a tool, a survival tool. End of story. So, if emotions are really just a survival tool, where does this kind of emotional intelligence even fit in the world of AI? Well, to get that, we need to take a quick look at the different levels of AI that exist today. You know, most of the AI you interact with every day, it's on these bottom rungs. You've got reactive AI. That's like your spam filter. It just reacts to what's happening right now. Then there's limited memory AI. Think self-driving cars. It learns from the very recent past. But the huge leap, the one we're talking about today, is step 3, theory of mind AI. This is where an AI starts to understand things like beliefs, intentions, and yeah, emotions. Step 4, self-aware AI. Well, that's still the stuff of science fiction, for now anyway. Okay, so if the goal is to build that theory of mind AI, where do you even start? I mean, how do you quantify something as messy and complicated as human emotion? Well, you start with a blueprint, and the model we're looking at is based on the work of a psychologist named Robert Plutchik. He had this idea that all human feeling, everything, is built on a foundation of just 8 primary universal emotions. And here's the really clever part. These 8 emotions aren't just a random list. They're organized into 4 opposing pairs. You've got joy versus sadness, fear versus anger, and so on. This bipolar structure is absolutely perfect for a machine because you can map each pair onto a single measurable line. And this is where it gets really, really cool. Just like you can mix primary colors to get every other color, you can mix these 8 core emotions to create more complex ones. The model says love is just a combination of joy and trust. Optimism, that's anticipation plus joy. All of a sudden, this incredibly rich, complex world of human feeling starts to look like like a logical system. It's just combinations. All right, let's get down to the nuts and bolts. The emotional calculator. How does an AI actually take this framework and turn feelings into cold, hard data? It all boils down to this range of numbers. Each of those emotional pairs, like joy and sadness, gets mapped onto this numerical scale. So let's say plus 127 is the absolute most joy you can feel, and minus 128 is the deepest sadness. 0, that's neutral. Just like that, an abstract feeling becomes a concrete, measurable number. Now, these numbers aren't just sitting there. They're run through some pretty clever math that gives the system a kind of memory. It's an effect called hysteresis, but just think of it like this. It makes trust hard to gain, but super easy to lose. A single bad experience can make that trust score crash to the bottom, right? And then it takes a whole bunch of small positive things to slowly build it back up. Sound familiar? It's basically how we work too. So, where is the AI getting all this data to crunch the numbers? Well, it's constantly assessing its environment on 3 different levels. First, there's the direct, instant gut check. Is that thing a predator? How big is it? Then there's an indirect assessment, just based on behavior. Is it acting aggressively? And finally, the most advanced level, it pulls from memory. In the past, has this thing helped me or hurt me? And this, right here, is where it all comes together. That calculated emotional number isn't just a score in a spreadsheet. Nope. It directly triggers an action, a behavior. Let's look at a few really clear examples of this IFN logic in action. You can see this logic super clearly when the AI is figuring out if something is useful. So, If it calculates that an entity has been helpful over the long term, that cranks up the joy value, which translates to a really simple behavior: move closer to it. But if something has consistently been harmful, that triggers sadness, and the AI backs away. You see, it's a direct line: data to a coded emotion to a physical action. This system even handles the classic fight or flight response. The AI's choice between feeling fear or feeling anger comes down to a dead simple calculation. If a hostile thing is big and strong, the fear number shoots up and the AI's response is to hide or run. But if that same hostile thing is small and weak, the anger value spikes instead, and it triggers an attack. It's not a choice, it's just pure cold survival logic. And this emotional logic even controls something like curiosity. When the AI bumps into something totally new, it triggers the emotion of surprise, which leads it to explore. But if that thing is something it's seen 100 times before, the emotion shifts to anticipation, and the AI just carries on with its business. Everything is optimized. No wasted energy. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that for an AI, and maybe for us too, emotion is just an incredibly efficient system. It's a shortcut, a biological one for us, a computational one for the AI, that lets us make fast, good enough decisions when there's no time to sit and analyze every single detail. It is all about effective survival. And that leads us to the final, really mind-bending question. If we can build an AI with a system that functionally does the exact same thing as our emotions for the exact same evolutionary reason, to survive, then what does that say about what an emotion even is? If it looks like fear and it acts like fear, is it any less real than our own? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining me for this one.